to give throughout tonight, throughout the time that we're going live, and until the page is lifted. You have the opportunity to go right on there now and give. So the page that is set up on the GoFundMe is called Leading Edge Legacy Book. If you type in the search Leading Edge Legacy Book, and that you will find the link for you to give online. If you want to send in your funds, you can write a check and send that in to Destined to Win Christian Center, and the address is 160 Westwood Drive, Park Forest, Illinois. It's 60466. That's Destined to Win Christian Center at 160 Westwood Drive, Park Forest, Illinois, 60466. And if you're writing the check, please make that out to LEL/Kelvin Easter. Again, LEL/Kelvin Easter. All right, let's get started with this amazing interview. All right. Awesome. Okay, so we want to ask you just a little bit to share with us about who you are. We know everyone is here familiar with you, but we are on Facebook Live, so we are believing that there's going to be some other people, because everybody had a chance to invite your friends and followers on your Facebook Live page. If you are seeing the notification, invite your friends and followers to follow Kelvin's Facebook Live. Right, so we wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself to those that know you and those that don't. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Kelvin Easter. I couldn't stand that last name Easter when I was younger, because I used to get people make fun of me all the time with that, but now it's settled in on me. And I've been, what would I say? I've been in ministry now for over 34 years, 35 years. I started very young, and I have a dual thing on me. So I have a call of God to minister the gospel and a business call. So kind of the two. I was in corporate America for over 20 years. Been in the self-improvement, sales industry, recruiting, training, that kind of thing for over 25. And so the combination, God has me sometimes out doing something from the business sector, training, development, coaching, developing people, and I really have a passion for developing leaders. So over the last 25 years, I have been actively involved in some form of communication, training, development in one of the two areas.
Awesome. All right. Now, we know that you are also married.
Yes.
You have children, so he's married to the beautiful woman of God, Tanya Easter, and they have two beautiful children, Chanel and Isaiah. And so you also pastor an awesome church, Destined to Win Christian Center. So you have a lot going on.
Got a lot going on.
Right, but the wonderful thing about it, anytime someone is reading a book, they want to make sure that they're reading from an expert, someone who has experience, someone who has some validity in what they speak and what they write. And so your history in both ministry and in corporate business really solidifies the fact that the things that you write, we know that they're going to be quite awesome. So we're all looking forward to that. So now we also want to talk to you about being an author. Is this the first book? The first of many books?
I'm actually late. I'm quite late. So this is probably, inside I probably have right now about 10 or 12 books inside of me. And they should have been released. And I keep getting confirmations on that. Matter of fact, I was at a breakfast on last week, and the guy, we were just talking about particular subjects. And as I was unveiling certain aspects of some of the writings, he says, "Where's your book?" I said, "It's on. It's coming." This one has been complete. This first manuscript is successful reading, and it was completed about a year ago. But it's probably 10 to 12 books easily.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe that. and I concur with them. I believe this is going to be the first of many. This is going to open the floodgates, right? And they're all going to come forward. So I'm excited about that as well. So tell us about what inspires you to write. You know, a lot of us have things that really push us, callings and gifts and all of that. But for someone to publish a book, to write and to release that, something has to push you. Something has to, really inspire you, or something really has to sit well with you to be able to say, okay, this is purposed for you. So tell me what it was that actually pushed you or encouraged you to start the writing.
Well, I guess I'll put it this way: from external ways, in other words, contact with people. This would be a constant confirmation. I was in Liberia, West Africa, and a bishop comes up from Nigeria. I had no clue who the guy was. We were basically in just kind of a fellowship community gathering. And he says, he just started giving the word of the Lord to me. He says, you got a bunch of books in you. And I guess I haven't fully been obedient in this, because he says it doesn't matter how big or large the books is, because I'm kind of a perfectionist on that side. He says, get your books out, even if it's a small writing. Well, that was 7 years ago, so I'm kind of behind. But it never fails. Whenever I go somewhere, I'm asked about my books. And one individual says, everybody's putting out a book. And again, he says, you've got something to say. So why haven't you released your book? So I've been inspired. It's actually natural for me, because I wrote this book, and it's actually a audio book as well as I did it backwards. I kind of did the audio interview with the producer, and then we penned it. So it's just kind of interesting, because I have all of this stuff in me, so I just dictate it, and my editor is here, and she basically edited the manuscript, and she says you really write pretty well. So that was a compliment from her, because she's a perfectionist with grammar and writing. So that's the inspiration. I just have to sit. I have a friend, Michelle McLean, prophetess Michelle McLean, says, you need to, what is it, B-I-S, butt in the seat. Yeah, so I just need to put my butt in the seat and discipline myself to pull these books together. So I've been doing some writing retreats. I started a second book, and that's Unveiling Christ. Some of the things that I'm going to be dealing with there is going to really talk about what the church is missing from this. So this is the spiritual side, what the church is missing in her teaching, that most of us teach at Christ, but we're supposed to, especially if there's an apostolic nature to the call, we should be exegeting Christ and unraveling, not on the surface, but the deep treasures. So I have a lot of this teaching that I've got to get out there. And so, yeah, it's kind of a natural flow.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I was going to ask you about that, too. Like, what's your process? So writing is easy for you.
Yeah.
It comes natural for you.
Yeah.
And so now it's just about getting the books out.
Yeah.
Yes, because we don't want to have any more international prophecies to get you to release the book, right? Okay. All right. You got to go all the way to Nigeria, right? Awesome. Well, we're excited now. I'm excited about the second book now, just hearing about that. So your writing process is easy. And so is finishing easy? For some people we start well. For some people it's hard to get a start, just to do the discipline of sitting down and just starting it. And then for others it's like finishing it. You start and then you start something else or whatever. So finishing it is sometimes difficult. So what's your process like? Is it the starting that's hard, or is it the finishing?
That's a real good question. There's a couple of things I learned through some actual writers and some mentors that actually have done this for a long period of time. I'm also a John Maxwell coach, and so I've been in the presence of greatness in regards to, he's an outstanding author. And Dr. Jim Richards is a friend of mine as well, and he's a best-selling author. And one of the things that these individuals have shared, just write. Don't try to think when you write. You want to get in kind of a flow status. Just sit and just write. Now, you're going to come back and edit all of the material, whatever, but the mistake we sometimes make is we'll get started trying to do grammar checks and everything. We don't just get the material in writing. My thing that's funny about this first book is called Success in 3D. The last D is discipline. And so you would think that there would be some sense of mastery with discipline, but like I say in the book, discipline is one of the most difficult things, but it is a master key to achievement. And so you have to discipline yourself to write. I just recently started doing writing retreats. So you lock yourself up in a room and write, because I'm so busy. I have so many things to do. I find that the discipline of getting it moving and finishing, sometimes you have what they call writer's block. Just get up and come back again and continue to pick up when you get in the flow. So I don't know if I answered the question well, but I hope I helped somebody with it. Just get disciplined. Just work on it.
So I'll take that discipline as would you encourage that for writers or people who are thinking about writing, that would be one of the things you would encourage them, is just the discipline.
Just the discipline. Sit down and start writing. Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, let's talk about this book. You mentioned the title of the book a few times, Success in 3D. Now, when I heard that or read that, I was intrigued. I love the title. You know, everybody can't come up with catchy titles. Everybody can't. So I don't know who came up with that, if that's what you came up with, but it's really catchy and it's intriguing. And sometimes it's the book cover, it's the book title, that draws people to just see the book on the shelf, and then they want to find out what it's about. And I believe that title is drawing and it's catchy. So tell me how you came up with that title.
I'm not going to take any credit on that. I think that was kind of like, I'm an avid reader, so I read several books. Literally right now in my car, I think I have about 20 books sitting there. So if I stop at a railroad train track and I'm disturbed by a train, I'm going to either grab my phone, my iPad, or a book. Wow. So I'm always plugged in. And so I think one of the writers, his name is Napoleon Hill, wrote a book years ago called Think and Grow Rich. And he talked about how he needed a title because his publisher was like, we need to get this title as quickly as possible to get this out. And they were going to name the book a couple of things. And he says, those names are not catchy. So he says he put his heart to work overnight because the publisher gave him a deadline. He gave him a deadline, said, you need to get this book. The title, or we're going to go with this. So overnight, he spoke to his heart and said, expected his heart to work on, the subconscious is what he calls it, to start working on the title. In the middle of the night, he woke up with Think and Grow Rich. Now, needless to say, that's a catch. You do want a book on your book. So with myself, without utilizing that format, I do a whole lot of talking about the heart. Well, somewhere in the rhythm of things, that rose up out of my heart, Success in 3D. And I knew it was the right title because it has a catch to it. It actually kind of has a contemporary twist on it, and which is Success in 3D. What's that in the 3 disciplines? So by just seeing that again, it triggers a thought, I want to read this book.
Absolutely. Well, you're good. That's a really amazing title. And so now the book, because you said it's contemporary. So it is drawing for anyone. I can see it, someone just in business, someone in corporate, just in life in general, who is drawn just by that title alone. So it's going to be across the board for anyone. But when you wrote the book, who did you have in mind? What people group or who were you writing the book for?
For all people groups and individuals that dare to be great. Mm-hmm. That I believe everyone has a call in their life to be above average. Okay. I have a passion to see people win. And so most people, their desires lie dormant. They never accomplish. They never even get to first base. Yeah. And I believe that God has, some in New Age theory talk about the universe, the intelligence of the universe. I believe the intelligence of the universe is the creator, Jehovah. Our God has created an intelligence that is waiting for a not conditional demand, but an accurate, clear desire reaching out for what it wants. When there's clarity of purpose, it seems as though everything around us works on one accord to help bring to pass what it is that we have in our heart. And so this particular book, I started with the law of desire, and because that is the key to any change in anyone's life.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, so we know that if you're watching this on Facebook Live, if you're here, just hearing what Kelvin just spoke, this book is for you. Whether it's for you want success in family, whether you want success in marriage, whether you want success in business, in ministry, this book is for you. Whether you're younger, whether you are older, but just the key words that you spoke, that anyone who desires to be great, desires to do great things, this book is for you. So remember that. And we do want you to remember that we are sowing seeds to fund the publishing of this book. So if you have not already gone to the GoFundMe page, please take a minute and go to that page and prepare to sow. We have a goal that we want to reach, and I'm going to believe that we can reach it tonight. So go to that page, and if you have a checkbook, write your checkbook. Just make sure the check clears. All right? Okay. All right. All right. So we want to talk about success. So just tell me how, because many people define success in so many ways now, and they're not always profitable for everyone, the definitions. But tell me, how do you define success?
Well, actually, that's a very good question. And that's probably a second book, because I've been wrestling in the kingdom of God. We all must wrestle with a kingdom definition of success, because the world defines success from a different platform. It can be money, status, power, fame. And many people have reached the heights of wealth and wanted to kill themselves because that's not success. So I believe success has everything to do with fulfilling your God-given purpose. For example, in the book, I make a statement that a person can do anything they want to do if they want to do it bad enough. But then I contextualize that and say, well, that's not totally true. It depends on what your divine design is. What's the wiring in you? You know, if you're not gifted to do a certain thing, you will never be successful in that area. So it requires you to discover your gifts, talents, and your individual design. And there, when you become disciplined in that area, you can or will thrive to have some success. So success is fulfilling your potential, your God-given potential and call based on your, by the Creator's design, intimate design for you.
Awesome. All right. So success in 3D. So let's talk about these chapters that's written here. We have 9 chapters, right? 9 chapters. And so we know the 3Ds represent desire, discovery, and discipline. Yeah. So I want to know, just from those 3, or what was your favorite part to write, or what, really was more passionate, for you or stirred as you were writing that from the 3Ds? What was your favorite chapter to write?
Wow. They're almost equally, because they're very powerful. I think discovery is probably was the most fluid and the most exciting, and I'll explain that I think we're going to talk about discovery a little bit. But all 3 I experienced all 3. So I'm not writing all 3 from an intellectual perspective alone. I've walked all 3 of them out. And I actually understand why these 3 are essential in achievement, because I've seen them in operation both in my corporate world, the ministry world, in anything I've ever done. So I would say discovery, because of the nuggets that are in it, but all 3 of them were equally exhilarating and
Awesome. Okay, so then we're going to talk a little bit about a few of the chapters that stood out. Now, the discovery one did stand out to me. I'm very intrigued about that, just because of what I believe it means. That, you know, in just the aspect of individuals being able and knowing the way of searching the depths of their soul and discovering God's divine and destined will for them. And so I'm so interested in hearing about that. But let's talk a bit about desire. So one of the chapters that you wrote on desire was growing desire. Tell me about that chapter.
Okay. Everything in nature desires. Your eyes desire to see, your ears desire to hear, your nose desires to smell, your heart desires to pump, your blood desires to flow. There's nothing in creation that doesn't have desire, even in plants and everything around. We may call it something different, but desire is inherent in all of creation. And within us is the first property of nature. And so desire itself, when desire is acknowledged, or when a person has a desire, they have to feed it. Now, here's one of the things that people are not aware of. The first desire, the first call of desire is for God. Now, it's in many people, with many people, they will displace it or move it in another direction. But desire, your desire is as wide as God is. It's as tall as God is. I'm going to use it that way in just a reference point, because you were made for God. So in the spiritual world, we call lust, we never say we lust after God, but we call lust a vice. Well, actually, lust is simply uncapped desire. It's uncontrolled desire. It's desire that's now no longer flowing just in a central direction toward God. It's now trying to receive its fulfillment from anything and everything. And so there's a search in every heart. That's why one could never be fulfilled through drugs, alcohol, or anything, because those are limited. But God is unlimited. So he gave us desire first for him. And as wide as he is, and he's eternal. So that means your desire can never end. So those of you in the audience that are trying to be fulfilled by your careers, by money, sex, whatever, you can't be fulfilled because your desire was made for God.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. That was awesome. So that's a call to anyone that is out there, that you've been searching. If you've been searching and you need direction and you need answer, this book is for you. This is why you need to help us get this book out, because this book is for you. It's going to give you insight. It's going to point you in the direction of the only source that's able to fill every one of those dimensions, and that is God. So that is an amazing revelation to consider. So that's just one chapter. Okay. All right. That's just one chapter. So let's talk a bit about the law of discovery. The law of discovery. Tell us about that.
Okay. One of the things that we have a tendency to believe, and I know what we mean by making this statement, I got to make things happen. And as long as we say that in the right context, that's a correct statement. But really, it's an incorrect statement in regards to the way God created everything. Okay. Everything we desire or need already exists. Everything we desire or need already exists. When God released words in Genesis chapter 1, those words brought into motion everything that's necessary for there to be no lack and for individuals to prosper. It's just why I explained that in Genesis chapter 1, Adam could have had an iPad.
What if he just said?
He could have had the internet. These are discoveries, right? And the world is wiser than the children of light, the scriptures teach. They have employed the law of discovery. The law of discovery is summarized in this statement by God. Ask, it shall be given. Seek, you shall find. Knock, and the door shall be open. That's not a law that just works biblically for the church. It's an operation or function in all of the universe, saved, unsaved. It doesn't matter. It has no respect to person. When a person seeks, they'll find.
Yes.
Doesn't matter who you are, where you are. So everything's hidden. All the laws, the things that are there, like I said, the law of lift, but the law of friction, all of these things were already there in Genesis chapter 1. But man had to desire, and his desire pushes him to discover what already exists.
Wow.
So the gifts you have in you, you discover them. God has to be discovered. He finds us, and then we discover he is real. The talents we have, we discover them. The way we're designed and the way we operate, that's why self-awareness is so important, because you are designed to understand the wiring that God has placed in you, but you discover, and when you discover and begin to employ those areas, those giftings and those talents, you begin to move toward mastery. So everybody has, it's inherent in them, prosperity and everything desired, because first prosperity is a state of mind. It's not materialistic. So whatever you need, you have it within you. You just have to discover it.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. So now, just the first D, desire, gave you a picture of the dimensions of your soul and how God is able to feel that and where your desires stir from. And then now discovery is a way to see how to be filled, how to be fulfilled, how to be whole in this life and in this journey. Now that really should stir people, because there's so many people who still, go through life trying to figure out what life is about. Who they are, what is their purpose, what are they designed to do. Some people go to the grave and never know. Some people never, find that. And like you say, people search and try so many things to try to figure that out and try to create it. And the workload to try to create something is too much for most of us to bear. So this revelation of understanding that it is really a matter of just discovering what's already in existence. It's asking the right questions and seeking and knocking. So for those that are still searching, those that are seeking, young or older, to find out, who you are, what God has, what his plans are for you, then this book really is for you. This book, and I know we're just getting a tidbit. Yeah, we can tell, right? We're just getting a tidbit of what's in this book. So discovery is awesome. Now tell us, now this one is, when you talked about discipline, because I'm like, I need this like ASAP. Right? So this chapter you wrote about planning. You said planning. And planning is discipline's power twin. Okay, so tell me about that, because I'm going to be listening as a learner. I need to know about this. The power twin. Discipline is the power twin for planning. Tell me about that.
Okay. Again, I'm working toward mastery in these areas. So in my quest to understand things over the years, what I have discovered is, number one, God is a planner. God planned everything before he started. God always starts at the end and then goes back and begins. So there's nothing, you have a lot of people that are Christians that want to operate out of spontaneity. And spontaneity is fine, but spontaneity won't get you to achieve much of anything. So the need to be disciplined is one of the most difficult master keys that for us to employ. And there's a main reason for that. It has everything to do with feelings and emotions. We don't have a problem following through with instructions, but we struggle when it comes to sitting down and following through. We don't have a problem following instructions. Following through we have a difficulty with, because many times we're self-sabotaging through our own emotional or feeling-based state. And so we may know to do something, but instead of doing it, we usually go the way that we feel. And so discipline is one of those things that you have to train yourself to do what you don't want to do without feeling like doing it. So that's real difficult for many of us to do. I remember sitting down, and I think this has captured some people's thought. I remember sitting down when I was writing this book, and I said, you know, people, I started pinning the statement that people are undisciplined. And the Lord said, no, that's not correct, son. He says, all men are disciplined. Either they're disciplined to do the right thing or the wrong thing, but everyone's disciplined. So that created an ouch for me. And it's true, because you either are disciplined to follow your feelings, disciplined to be lazy, disciplined to be diligent. So, but the bad habits are easy to activate, because it's part of the fallen state of human beings to go negative. You have to be disciplined to be a positive person. You have to be disciplined to get up every day and do the right things, the things you should do. And so it has nothing to do with feelings. It has everything to do with comprehension of a law that works to bring forward God's blessings. And so discipline is a key master. You can desire and you can discover. If you fail in discipline, you will never manifest what it is that you desire or that you discover. And let me say this, let me mention this too. The book was designed not to be an exegete of text. This book is designed to be a catalyst for thought. So I wrote it just for that, so that people would begin to explore and think about how God created things, and that life is not hard. Here's another one of the sayings I think that's in the book too. Life is not hard. Life is easy. What makes life difficult is the way I feel. See, everything works. There's nothing that doesn't work. The solar system, gravity works. Whether you work with it, you can work with it or against it. Nothing God originally created is hard. When Adam fell, he fell into a state that caused him to no longer operate in wisdom. He now operated by passions of his lower life. So what happens to us, we can know the right thing to do, but our emotional and our feeling state, it sabotages what we should do. So you can hear good instructions, and in between the good instructions and the carrying out is the time that we have to watch and manage ourselves. The hardest person to manage in life is myself. I've managed groups of people, large crowds of people. I manage a congregation. The truth of the matter, lead a congregation. They're not hard to lead. I'm hard to lead. Because when I wake up, there are days I just don't want to do this. And I can go the path of least resistance. I don't know if that made any sense.
That made a lot of sense. It just messed me up and ready to take my shoes off. Right? So I want to say now, you heard him talk about desire and discovery, and I'm sure you were excited. Now, don't go changing your mind because you heard him talk about discipline. Because now that's the part that we have to finish, right? Because none of us like to really talk about discipline. I don't know about you, that just hit me on a whole lot of levels, right? So that to see not only, like he said, not just the desire and the discovery, but the conclusion of the matter, which is to be disciplined to see it fulfilled, to see that all that God has planned for us. So we're going to get the book. I know that just pushed me over the ledge, right? That just helped me, because that's what I need. I think I'm going to start from the back. Work my way forward, right? So we've heard you talk about desire, discovery, and discipline. And so the book, Success in 3D, and every one of those chapters, and he only mentioned 3. There are 9 chapters to this book, and we only talked about 3. So we are all intrigued about the book. So tell us, what should we expect? What should the reader, how should they expect to respond by reading this book? Is it going to stir them to move into purpose and design? Is it going to just, as you stated, trigger their thinking, cause them to think well? Is it going to give them some disciplines or some thought patterns on how to go about moving in that direction? What should they expect when they purchase this book as well?
Well, all learning, and when I would say it this way, I believe repetition is the mother of learning. I state that within the context of the book, that when a thought, if it's based in wisdom, when it's released, if I'll meditate on it and chew the cud, that's where meditation is kind of a concept, that's biblical concept, then I will begin to discover more light out of that one word or sentence or whatever. This book is a trigger to create an awareness that I can become great. I can do certain things that I thought maybe I couldn't, that I need to stop looking all around and employ the laws that exist and the giftings that God has already placed in me. There are two things that I think are really important for human beings. One is awareness. What you're not aware of, you can't change. What you're not aware of, you can't manage. So I'm trying to bring people to a sense of awareness. The other thing is, of course, intentionality. After being aware, you have to intentionally do something. I've studied wealthy millionaires, actually some billionaires. I've studied business professionals, ministry gifts, leaders that have achieved, and all of them had the same kind of issues and challenges that we all face. They all don't want to get up in the morning and discipline themselves. I used to think there was a special anointing for discipline.
Come on now.
There's no special anointing for discipline. Everybody that got up and did it, they got up and did it and didn't want to do it.
Right.
The difference is they overcame their feelings and their emotional state and actually got in the rhythm of doing. Everyone can do this. Some are more gifted and talented than others, but never get past step one because they won't discipline themselves to do it. So what they can expect from this is a book that will begin to uncap many of those conditional laws that are out there and begin to give them a sense of, wow, I can do something with my life. I can be above mediocrity. I believe it's a catalyst or a light-bearing book.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So you heard it here first, right? We've talked about this book. I know you already want to buy it. I know you're looking for it. You're probably already searching Amazon. You're probably looking on the Christian bookstore line. I know you're searching for it. Let me help you. We want you to be a part of helping us to get this book out. Help us to get it out in every sector. Help us to get it out. You heard him say earlier, it's also on audiobook. So for those that don't want to order the paperback or the hardcover book, you'll also be able to get it in audiobook as well. So it's already ready. It's already prepared. And now you can become a part of getting this book out. So if you're in the room and you have your phones ready, you can go to GoFundMe. If you have your checkbook ready, you can write a check. So we want to remind you again, our purpose for being here tonight was to hear the story, to hear the background, to get understanding of why you need to help us to get this book out. And why it's important, not only because we want to be a support to Pastor Kelvin, but because it's needed. Because many people are searching and many people do need direction as they are searching for success, as they are planning great goals. And this is where you start. So if you take a moment now and go to the GoFundMe page, again, the GoFundMe page, you search for Leading Edge Legacy Book. Leading Edge Legacy Book. You search for that in the GoFundMe link and you will find the page, and his picture is right there with that beautiful smile, so you'll be able to know that that's him, right? So find that GoFundMe link and sow now. You can sow right now. And also, if you're writing the check, write it out to LEL/Kelvin Easter. LEL/Kelvin Easter. And you can put that right in the postal mail to Destined to Win Christian Center, 160 Westwood Drive, Park Forest, Illinois, 60466. Again, that's Destined to Win Christian Center at 160 Westwood Drive, Park Forest, Illinois, 60466. I want to thank everybody that is here. Say hello again. All right. The room is filled. We're in a bookstore. This is prophetic. We're in a bookstore. So when we come back to this bookstore, Kelvin's book is going to be on one of these shelves in one of these sections. Right? Right, so we're in a bookstore here. We want to thank them for letting us come here. Also, all of those that traveled and came out tonight, we are actually in the building, and we're going to start giving right where we are, and we get to have some refreshments. You don't get to have that, but you still get to be a part, right? You can still be a part. So if you're there on Facebook Live, we thank you for joining us tonight, and we thank Pastor Kelvin. Can we say thank you to Pastor Kelvin for being here tonight and for sharing with us about the book and also for writing it. We look forward not only to this book being released, but every other writing that you release, big or small. We got you.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a good night.